Hi everyone, this is Catherine Hunt and I am the Library Manager for the Lincoln Public Library at the City of Lincoln, and I am presenting a proposal for a new program which would actually be a piece of library instruction, tentatively titled Welcome to Your Library, an Introduction to the Lincoln Public Library. And the impetus behind this piece of instruction is some information that we got from our recently completed community survey of library services, in which we saw that a lot of people gave us feedback requesting things that we already offer. And of course, what we offer isn't useful if people don't know that we have it or how to take advantage of it. And so the idea behind this piece of programming is that this would be an introduction for cardholders, new, returning, any cardholder who wants to get more out of their library membership so that they can see how to use our programs, collections, and services. And so scrolling down into our program description, we can see that we have our learning objectives. So this is kind of what we as the library want to get out of this. We want to familiarize learners with our programs, collections, including print and digital, as well as our services. We want to demonstrate all the tools that are necessary to access and make the most out of those resources, many of which are online. And we want to explain the values of our different resources for different audiences so that our patrons will be able to find what's useful to them on their own by being able to identify the differences between what's offered. And finally, we want to make sure that this gives our learners practical experience utilizing these resources so that they gain some great learning in how these resources work and can receive assistance if there's any issues. Our outcomes, which are from a learner perspective, what the learner will be able to do, is be able to describe the basic categories of materials and programs, which is essential to be able to differentiate between them. They'll be able to use the library website and social media to identify programs and materials that are of interest to them. They'll be able to distinguish between different types of programs and materials, and they'll be able to discover relevant collection items through the catalog and the library map. So the layout of our 40,000 square foot, very poorly differentiated physical building. And so who this is ideally for are adult members of the general public who reside within driving distance of the Lincoln Public Library. And this is because these are realistically the members who can use our library independently. The other thing that we're the other thing that we're looking for are patrons who can use the library fully. So they need a library account and it needs to be in good standing. And that will allow them to put into practice immediately everything that they learn in the training. In addition, since the program will be given in English, a conversational command is necessary. A basic familiarity with computers and ability to navigate a keyboard, a mouse, open a web browser will be essential. As well as we're planning about 2 hours for this program, so they will need to be able to sit or stand, whether that involves assisted devices or not. In terms of why people want to be there, we're really banking on this being a self-motivated training, that these are people who came in, got a library card, they're demonstrating that they appreciate the library and want to get the most out of it, but self-identify as having something to learn. And so this is a program that helps them fulfill that self-identified need for information. In terms of the staff and space commitment on the side of the library, any senior staff member can conduct this training. Depending on the size of the group, this may be up to a 2-person program, one being the main instructor and one providing assistance in the back. It does not need to be a librarian. It's just anyone who has a solid understanding of what's offered at the library, who's comfortable answering questions about the material that may fall outside the exact outline of the program. And they have to be enthusiastic and committed to helping people make the most of their library membership. As far as a space commitment, we'll have this take place in our technology center. It's outfitted with 20 personal computers, so that allows 20 users at a time to be able to work independently on some of the projects. And it also has our newly upgraded AV equipment, so there's full presentation capabilities. What I'm going to scroll through here a little bit faster is our program outline. And so this is a curriculum outline for our instructors that goes through what will be covered as well as how we'll cover it. So if there's going to be interactive components, which there are many throughout the program, it's a key way to keep people motivated and interested is not to lecture at them for 2 hours, but to provide them the opportunity to practice skills and to determine what it is that they want to find so that it's immediately useful and practicable to them. As well as any materials that will need to be produced or run off in advance. So we can see as we go through here, we're starting with libraries today, Lincoln Public Library mission, and just talking a little bit to people about what they see the library as today. And then we're going to talk about collections. We're starting with our physical items, all the different types of items and materials available. And then we're going to talk about how those items are laid out in the library. And then people are going to get a chance to go through the library and try and find some materials. We're going to do an overview of using the library catalog, which again, we're going to invite people to find something of interest and then reuse that skill that they did earlier in terms of finding the material out on the floor. Practice using our self-check machines. And then a review of our circulation policies, as well as how to request items that are not currently available at the library. After we finish our physical items, we're going to talk about digital resources. We're going to start with our website with a brief scavenger hunt to find where different information is stored. And then we're going to go over some of our most popular resources, including job-seeking resources and really helping people see the difference between JobNow and Learning Express, our two main job-seeking online tools. A demonstration of HelpNow, our homework support resource. And then we're going to go through and do a brief overview of all of our other databases and provide some paperwork to help people see if this is what my type of question is, where can I find assistance for it? And then our most popular digital materials, which are our ebooks, and going over the differences between our two different providers and providing an opportunity to get those accounts set up and practice what it looks like to check items out. Afterwards, we're going to talk about our services. This is primarily a lecture period because a lot of these are not ones that can be practiced. It's just if they're useful, they can reach out and speak to staff members. And so this includes our room rentals, our exam proctoring, our ADA resources, and then our adult and family literacy program. Finally, we're going to talk about programs, and so this is going to be based a lot around our calendar, having different members of the class find a program, describe the program, and practice being able to determine who might be interested in that program. That gives them practice both in understanding the types of programs we offer, but also how to find out information about them. And then finally, talking about next steps. Talking about how to find news on our library website, as well as our library social media, so how they can stay in contact with us and see what's going on. Of course, all of our programs have evaluation and assessment built into them. It's how we make sure we are doing what we want to be doing, and we know how to make things better. So testing and assessment. We, of course, have our learner outcomes, which we talked about before, the 4 things we want our learners to be able to do. We've built activities into the program that will allow them to practice all of those ELOs. And so if they're able to do the learning outcome, the ELO, then they will have succeeded. We will have seen that by them completing the assessment in the class. So we'll have an exit survey, which will also give us some base information. But for example, being able to describe the basic categories of materials, being able to find a location of an item will require knowing what type of material it is, because that's a major way that we shelve, as well as successful description of the library programs. And we go through the other 4 as well through these types of activities. Finally, in follow-through in our exit survey, we love surveys, we'll be asking what people are interested in to see if there is enough interest to build kind of second-level lessons more in depth on different parts of the training. And so this kind of assessment is all the it is all of how we're seeing whether our learners are getting what they need from the class. When we're talking about evaluation, we're talking about whether we're doing the work in the most effective way possible, how we can improve. And obviously part of that is making sure that our learners succeed. And so in terms of formative or in-the-moment assessment, these activities obviously give us a chance to constantly assess our learners, assess our teaching, and see whether we need to increase the time or examples for different elements. Afterwards, for our summative or post-evaluation, we want to break down this kind of completion into rough quantitative data. How much extra time did we need to add? How many people struggled? How many people didn't succeed the first time? And chart that so that over time we can see whether our fundamental structure isn't conducive, and then we can correct that to make the most efficient training program possible. So with all that, we believe deeply that this is a very important program, and so we've laid out the next steps. First is investing the staff time to do the development of the in-depth curriculum, including making all of the materials and presentations. Obviously, we have not done that yet until we have your buy-in, but we do believe that this could dramatically increase the usage of the resources that the library already has and increase the usefulness of the library to our public. So after all of that's developed, we need to bring it to a staff meeting, have it be reviewed by multiple staff members. This creates buy-in as well as ensures that our materials are actually clear and understandable, that none of us who are creating this initially have too much of our own bias or perspective in it. After that, we want to have non-staff look at it, so people who aren't as familiar with the library looking at it to make sure we're not using industry language or other things that are unclear. After that, we need to find and train the appropriate staff members to teach it. We need to set a date for our initial session once we have that in line and we know what our calendar looks like. We need to start marketing it, get signups, get 20 people for that kickoff, complete the initial session, and then come back, review, do that evaluation, see what we could do better, what needs weren't being met that we thought were, that now that we've done one, we see, and then just keep reiterating that, keep the iterative process. So that's the proposal for Welcome to Your Library, an introduction to the Lincoln Public Library, a program that will greatly increase the success of a lot of our initiatives by making sure that the members of our community know what and how to engage with those resources. Thank you.